Hi guys, in this video you're going to be learning how to put your linear inequalities into slope-intercept form. So my directions are to get each inequality into slope-intercept form, and when I see the words slope-intercept form, I think of the equation y equals mx plus b. So I'm trying to get all of these inequalities into this form. I want an mx and a b so that I can eventually graph them. Now there are two things that I want to remember, and I'm going to kind of just write them off to the side on this post-it. If you would like a post-it, raise your hand and I'll bring you one so that you can write these notes as well. So when I am solving inequalities, there are kind of one main thing that I need to remember that's going to come up today. So when I divide by a negative, or when I multiply by a negative, the inequality sign switches. Or it flips. Okay, and this is just kind of the main thing that I need to remember for today. I'm going to keep this for every single problem just as a little reminder, so that I can ask myself if I've divided or multiplied by a negative number, so that I remember to switch my inequality sign. So looking at this first one, remember I'm trying to get my inequalities into y equals mx plus b form. What I notice about this form is that my y is by itself. So I'm going to go in this first one similar to when we were putting equations, so with equal signs into y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to start by circling my y. I'm going to start by circling my y. And that's what I'm trying to get by itself. Next, I'm going to look for what is being added or subtracted from my y. So where's the plus sign and what's on the other side of that plus sign? The other thing you could think about is what's the term that's on the same side of my inequality sign, so it's over here, that doesn't have a y? Well, 7x doesn't have a y, so to get rid of it, I'm either going to add or subtract it. Since this is a positive 7x, I'm going to subtract 7x to get rid of it. Okay. When I do that, my plus 7x minus 7x cancels out. I'm going to bring down this 3y. I'm also going to bring down my inequality sign. So I have a less than or equal to. Over on this side, I have a negative 6 and a minus 7x. Are these two like terms? Nope, so I'm going to just bring them down as they are. I've got a negative 7x and a minus 6. Okay, just to do a quick check, did I divide by a negative or multiply by a negative? Nope, I just subtracted a number. So that means that my inequality sign will stay the same. Still trying to get y by itself. Now there is a 3 next to it. When I have a number and a variable right next to each other, what sign is in between? Right, multiplication. So to get rid of that, I'm going to divide by 3, and we're going to divide every single term by 3. So over here, my 3 is going to cancel out. I'm just left with a y. Looking at my inequality sign, so I know I divided by 3, but did I divide by a negative 3? No, these are all positive 3s. So my inequality sign doesn't flip. It stays exactly the same, still less than or equal to. And you'll remember this from getting our equations into y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to leave this first term as a fraction. So I've got a negative 7 over 3x since I can't simplify it. This last one, 6 divided by 3, that's going to leave me with a -2 or a -2 at the end. And that's the form that I'm trying to get my equation into. Let's look at another example. So I'm going to leave this over here. For number 2, again, I'm trying to get this into slope-intercept form, so I'm trying to get the y by itself. I'm going to draw just a short wall. Okay, so my first step, I want to look for the term on this side of my inequality that doesn't have a y. What number or variable doesn't have a y next to it? Right, the 6x. Similar to the last one, this is a positive 6x. So to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. Okay, when I do that, my 6x's are going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down my negative and the 5y. Did I divide or multiply by a negative number? No, I subtracted 6, but that's not dividing or multiplying. So my inequality sign will stay the same. Over here, these two terms are not like terms, so I cannot combine them. I'm going to write them out just as they are. So I've got a negative 6x and then a minus 20. Okay, still trying to get y by itself. In front of y, I have a negative 5. So to get rid of that negative 5, since what operation is in between the negative 5 and the y? Oh, right, multiplication. So to get rid of it, I have to divide every single term by that negative 5. Okay. When I do that, my negative 5 is going to cancel out over here. I'm left with a y. Did I divide or multiply by a negative number? Yeah, I divided by a negative 5. So that means that my inequality sign has to flip. It was going this direction. Now it's going to change directions. Okay, so notice that my inequality sign changed. And now I'm going to continue with my division. So I've got negative 6x divided by negative 5. A negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. I'm going to leave that fraction as it is, 6 over 5, and then x. Over here I've got 20 divided by 5. 20 divided by 5 I know is 4. A negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. So I've got a plus 4 at the end. Okay, I'm going to go through 2 more. These ones will go a little bit faster. Pause as you need, so if you need to catch up in notes, pause. I'll move these 2 up so that you can get the work down. Okay, looking at number 3, so I'm trying to get my equation into y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to start by drawing that wall, finding y. Okay. Y is not by itself. First, I'm going to ask myself, is there something, a term on this side of my inequality that does not have a y? Yeah, this 5x doesn't have a y. Just like the other ones, it was a positive 5x. So to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract all of it, minus 5x. Okay. When I do that, my 5x's are going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down this negative and this 2y. I did not divide by a negative number. I did not multiply by a negative number, so my inequality sign stays the same. So it's still going to be greater than or equal to. These 2 terms are not like terms, so I'm going to write them out just like they are. I've got a negative 5x, and I've got a negative 4. Okay, Looking back at my y is still not by itself. There's still a 2 with it, or a negative 2. To get rid of that negative 2, because it's being multiplied, I'm going to divide every single term by a negative 2. Okay? In that case, my negative 2's are going to cancel out. I'm just left with y. Did I divide by a negative number? Yeah, I divided by negative 2, so my inequality sign has to flip. It was greater than or equal to, now it's less than or equal to. Okay? 5 over 2 cannot simplify, so I'm going to write it as it is. A negative divided by a negative gives me a positive, so this is going to stay positive. I'll bring down my x. 4 divided by 2 leaves me with 2. A negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. Okay, and that's going to be my final form. One last one. If you're feeling good, you can go ahead and move on your own. This one's really easy, I promise. So I'm going to draw my short wall. I'm trying to get y by itself. First, I want to ask myself, is there a term on this side of my inequality, so ignoring the 1, is there a term that doesn't have a y right next to it? Yeah, this x. To get rid of a positive x, I'm going to subtract it. Okay, when I do that, my x's cancel out. I'm left with y. Did I divide by a negative number? Nope. Did I multiply by a negative number? No, I was subtracting. So in that case, my sign stays the same. Are these two terms like terms? No. So in that case, I'm just going to write them as they are. Negative x, and this was a positive 1, so I'm going to put a plus in front of it. When I look at the other side of my inequality, is y by itself? Yep, so that's all I have to do. I do not have to solve any more. I'm actually done. Okay. Go ahead and give these next couple problems a try. If you would like to check your work, there will be an answer key on the agenda. Good luck.